Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Emily Wilkins, and I have the honor and privilege of being the 117th president here at the National Press Club. Um, Today, the Press Club presidency, it's only a year. And one of the things that I stated as a goal when I began my presidency last January was that we would continue our mission to bring Austin Tice home. And while we can say this year that we continue to support Austin, that we continue to support Deborah and the entire Tice family, that we continue to raise awareness through 5Ks, through discussions, through press, through an entire concert, we still have failed in that Austin Tice has not yet come home. And I want to take another opportunity today, because I've still got at least 4 weeks left of my term, to once again call on President Joe Biden. You are still the president. There is still time to get this done. It is incredibly critical that Austin Tice, a Marine, an award-winning journalist, an American, return to his family. He was a journalist, and as we all know, journalism is not a crime. And I'm really, truly honored to be standing here with the Tice family today. I think you'll be able to have the chance to hear from a few of them, but I mean, this is truly a dedicated family. I mean, Deborah, you've constantly been an inspiration to me with your fight and your power, and you're not letting this go. I know that you have had the deep support of your entire family with you, and I know that you guys have traveled, some of you very far, around the entire globe to be with us today, and it means so much to have you here. Thank you for being here at the Press Club. I will also note that today, I introduced myself as president of the National Press Club, but today is technically a Press Freedom Center at the National Press Club event. This is a relatively new initiative that we have here at the National Press Club to really formalize, solidify, and boost the press freedom work that we have done here now for decades. And we hope that through our increased initiatives and focus on press freedom through the center, that we will be able to have a larger voice and a larger impact on Austin and any other journalist who is detained or in trouble. I think you've all heard enough of me, so I do want to go ahead and invite Deborah Tice to come up here if you have a couple words to say. Yeah.
Today is a day full of emotions. The news that we're hearing from the Middle East is the kind of thing can unsettle a mom. And I'm just so very glad that you're here. I'm so very glad that you're interested. There are all kinds of ways this could go, but the best thing that we want to share with you is that we have from a significant source that has already been vetted all over our government. Austin Tice is alive. Austin Tice is treated well. And there is no doubt about that. And so I think that is the most important thing. And I would sincerely appreciate your most faithful prayers that we will see Austin walk free. And I just thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Deborah. I'd now like to call up Bill McCarran. He is the director of the Press Freedom Center, and certainly if you know the National Press Club, you know that Bill, for a very long time, has been involved in Austin's case. He has relentlessly and tirelessly fought to make sure that our politicians and our government feel the pressure and know that Austin needs to come home. Bill?
Thanks, Emily, and thanks, Deborah, and all of these people in the green are Tices, if we haven't figured that out before. There are 17 Tices up here. Mark is all the way at the end there, the dad. And we're going to hear from many of them. As you know, the family had a meeting today at the White House. And at that meeting with national security staff, they were able to, each of the Austin's six siblings, they were able to each ask one question and get an answer. And there were follow-ups and a discussion. But I thought one of the things we could do today is share, have the siblings share what their question was and what form of an answer they received. And so I think we should do that now, and then I'm going to have some other things I want to say to follow up on what Deborah mentioned about the information that we have coming out of the region, and to introduce a very special presentation that we're going to have. But for now, let's start with you, Jacob.
Fair enough.
This is Jacob Tice from Tacoma, Washington, marketing guru and executive. And Jacob and I have been working on a project over the last couple of months that we're going to hear more about later. But Jacob, why don't you tell everybody what was your question at the White House and what was the answer to the question?
Sure. So we had the privilege of the presence of the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, who was in attendance at that meeting. And I asked him directly for a commitment for President Biden in pursuant to his prior commitments and his sentiments that he has explicitly expressed about Austin, to reach out directly to Assad on Austin's behalf. I asked for that commitment explicitly and directly, and I did not receive it. I heard that Jake Sullivan was not in a position to make that commitment. He did not say yes. And I found that to be a striking response, given what we have heard from the president himself about the ceaseless efforts that he has encouraged his administration to take in order to free Austin. So that was the question that I put forward. That was the answer that I received. And I had hoped for more. I had hoped for a direct commitment for that conversation to take place.
How old are you, Jacob?
I'm 36.
How old were you when Austin was there?
That should be fairly easy math, right? 24? 24 years old.
And what was the last big thing you did with Austin?
I would say the last big thing that I did with Austin was before one of his deployments. He and I went to Glacier National Park in Montana together for a week. We went backpacking together. And that was his gift to me for my high school graduation. Yeah, and that was a formative trip for us. That was a moment that we were able to have alone together for a long time. And it was the last of such moments. I have not had, like any of my siblings, I have not had the opportunity to speak with my brother in 12 years and 4 months.
Thank you, buddy. This is Megan Tice, the sassiest Tice. Megan, can you tell people what question you asked today and what was the response?
I can. I just spoke with them about the fact that I have 2 children, Stella and Wyatt, who have never met Austin. And I was just explaining my relationship with Austin. We're the 2 oldest siblings, which kind of gives us a unique bond. And so we were extremely close with each other, communicating constantly. And so to have 2 kids that he's never met is something I think about a lot, and that my daughter thinks about a lot, that she hasn't met her uncle. So I asked them, you know, in the meetings that we had on Thursday and again today, we heard a lot about what's going on in the region, and there was a lot of this sense that we needed to wait and see how everything played out before they could take any kind of action. And so I asked, you know, if this is your brother, what more could you do? What would you do in this situation? Because it feels like y'all are waiting to see what happens before you can take any further action, which just is extremely disheartening to hear. And essentially they said, yes, that's what we're doing. We are waiting to see how all of these pieces play out over the next week before we can do anything definitive. And I think that our larger question was, how can we use this disruption to leverage something for Austin during this time? And unfortunately, they didn't have much answer to that at all. So Yeah, that's how our meeting went, or my question went. Stella, did you want to ask your question? No? Okay. Oh, yes. Stella did write a letter. Can I share it with them? No?
You made it. You made an exclusive.
Please, please let us hear it. Yes, please.
Stella wrote a note
During the meeting.
and it says, her news idea to say and her question. Her sentence is, I have passed the word about Austin to my friends at school and hope that they spread the word about Austin so that I can meet him. Every year we've had a run for Austin, and I made a sign to help us to try and free him. And my question is, why have I never met my uncle? And her goal is to free Austin Tice.
This is Naomi Tice. She's the youngest sibling.
Yes, yeah, and my question was what Megan kind of referred to is basically how can we leverage this moment and everything that's happening in Syria as a potential opportunity for Austin. And as Megan kind of already mentioned, we were basically just told that we need to wait and see how it pans out, which, while understandable, after 12 years, it does feel like just another thing that we need to continue to wait and see how it pans out. Which is just consistently beyond frustrating. And just to kind of talk a little bit about what Jacob had brought up as well, like what was some of the last memories or formative memories he had with Austin. So I chose to go to college in Virginia because Austin was in D.C. And one of the amazing pieces of that was that us being, physically, geographically closer. Because Austin is 11 years older than me, which means he had moved out of the house when I was still really young. And so I had not graduated yet before he was taken. And just kind of thinking about how different our lives are from what I think we had kind of planned and hoped and dreamed for. And, Austin has always been such an amazing role model for me. And so I do believe that he went there with this passion and conviction, and I would love to see that our government has the same passion and conviction to bring him home.
Simon Rob.
Sure, take me.
So I know these Tices a lot, but I haven't met Simon before, and he comes all the way from Perth, Australia, to be with us today.
Yeah, and it's honestly my pleasure to be here. I did want to talk a little bit about the question that I asked, give a little context to my experiences with Austin as well. So the question that I had, because we have been meeting consistently with different parts of the government, so we met with the State Department, and now we met with the National Security Council, and there just seems to be a massive disconnect between what President Biden has dictated for Austin in terms of doing everything that we can to bring him home, and then the actions and the behavior of the people that sit just below him. And my question was essentially, can you explain that discrepancy between what's been said and what's been done? And the answer that I received is that what they have been trying to do is start a conversation or enter into conversations about what can be done. And my follow-up question to that was, is there a difference in your mind between what a conversation is and what an action is? And moving away from strictly conversation towards action. And what can we actually do for Austin to bring him home? And unfortunately, the response was, we'll take that question back and discuss it and get back to you. So, still waiting. And I hope sincerely that that discussion happens soon and that the result is action for Austin. So, and with respect to my experience with Austin, as Naomi mentioned, so I'm the youngest. So when Austin was taken captive, I was 3 days before my 18th birthday. And now I am the same age that Austin was when he was taken. So it's given me a lot to think about in terms of all of the growth and the development that I've had in these 12 years, and the fact that that growth and development has been completely robbed from my brother. So that's where I stand. Thank you.
Terrific. Okay, I don't know if you noticed, but we've been adding Tyson.
It tends to happen.
So,
That's how I felt about our family.
so actually, you know, I guess next in line would be Abigail, who's just fresh from doing something else somewhere else. You gotta put this down. So Abigail, what we're doing here is we're saying, what was the question we asked and what was the answer?
Oh, okay. So my question was more of a statement, because I think it's easy, especially since Austin has been gone so long, he kind of becomes like an idea or just a name. So especially with all of us here, our main point that I wanted to drive home is that he, at the end of the day, is a brother, an uncle, a son. Like, he's a human, and he is missed, and we really want him home. And I know that it can be easy to think of him in terms of like a political negotiation piece and things like that, but that's not who he is to us. To us, he's just a family member that is really deeply missed. So yeah.
Absolutely.
So my name is John. I'm a second son. And the question that I had to ask this afternoon was, with the limited time frame of this administration in office, what are they going to do before January 20th to get Austin back on American soil? And to kind of reiterate what you've heard this entire time is we have to look. We won't know right now. Maybe in 24 hours we'll have something settled down in Syria. Maybe in 48, maybe in a week. And then once we have that information, once we know where all the chips are going to lie, then we can start diving in. And once again, it's another kicking the can down the road. We're waiting. We have to see what's going to happen next and wait to see what happens, which for the 17 people on the stage is just not okay. It's just too much for us to handle on the day-to-day basis. So it's been kind of a reiteration of everybody that's been on the stage was the question that I asked, what are you going to do? You have until January 20th. And we're still waiting for that answer.
You're right in front of Abby. Not the short one.
Sorry.
That was, thank you, all of you. Good job. So you've heard from the Tices, and you've heard a little bit about the White House meeting, and you've also heard a few references to what's going on in Syria, and I'm sure anybody who's in this room has been thinking about that right now. And we've got a couple of people in the room who are keeping their eyes on situations that are developing right now, and we'll hear from them in the question portion of the program. So if you have questions about Syria and how the current situation may or may not be impacting Austin and prisoners in general, we're going to have some people who will address those things. I wanted to talk about the statement the president makes in 2023 where he says, we know with certainty that Austin is held in Syria, and then immediately Syria is saying, no, well, we don't know where he is. When the president is saying this, he is leading. He is leading against the most pernicious and difficult obstacle to innovation and to enthusiasm for Austin's case. And that is the notion that we don't know anything about him, we don't know where he is, we don't know his condition, and that sort of thing. So the president was leading to try to free innovation and energy in his own government and in the NGO space and in the world and in other countries. And the question is, who is following? And the answer today is, we are following. This family, this organization, other NGOs who have done good work. Today we're reporting that we have discovered a second line of proof about Austin. Right? We have discovered this, and it helps buttress the president's argument. And so, who is not following? It sounds like, when I listen to the Tice family, that the National Security Council is not following what the president is asking or the president is stating. And so what they're asking really is that the rest of the government get in line with the president. Now, we're going to hear in a few minutes about some excellent work that was done by an NGO and is still being done. And this was work that was not thwarted or stymied or stopped by the government. This is innovation that was allowed to go forward. But we have lots of examples of other kinds of innovation in this space that were stopped by the government. A lawyer who's an expert in sanctions relief, who's a friend of the Tices, took on a case and handled it expertly to try to get sanctions relief for an individual that would have meaning to leadership in Syria, but was not a blood relative and was not a business associate and was cleared by the FBI and was cleared by the UK government. And that case was filed beautifully, and it was stopped by the government. And there aren't answers about why it won't proceed. And so when the Tices are asking, what can you do? What can you do? And the answers are, we can wait, or we don't know what we can do. Well, we know what can be done. Push the OFAC case. Get out of the way. If you're not going to have innovation and you're not going to do anything, at least don't stop important things from taking place and going forward. This same lawyer and some others, ProPublica, well known to all of you, pushed a FOIA to try to find the important minutes of the September 2020 meeting where a proof of life was offered by the Syrians to the US government. That FOIA has been treated like all of your FOIAs, not been answered, answered with redaction, answered in ways that are ineffective. This is Austin's life. This is the baseline of the last time we had a significant conversation between the two countries, right? And we can't know what transpired there. And the FOIA can't retrieve that information. And we ask face-to-face US government officials who were in the meeting, where are your notes? Tell me what you did with your notes on this meeting. Were the notes conveyed in the transfer, between the Biden administration and the Trump administration? No answers to those questions. That official insists that his were the only notes in the meeting. We since have found a whole other set of notes by another individual who was in the meeting. I mean, it's preposterous, the number of things that the government is doing to not help, on purpose, to not help. So, we say today, you can do a lot better than what you're telling this family, right? And so I want you to see what can happen with an innovative program that is allowed to go forward and is not stymied by the government. So I'm going to ask Carol Chadid to come up and join us, or do this from wherever's a good place for you to do it, and share about this really remarkable kind of ad outreach campaign that they're running in Syria and in Lebanon and in Iraq to try to talk directly to people on the ground. Nothing like this ever done by the United States government. Never done by the government. So, Carol, can you just show us your work? And she's with Hostage Aid Worldwide.
Thank you, Bill. So regarding the campaign that Bill just introduced us to, I wanted to say that it's the Free Austin Tice campaign, and we were approached by a media company who wanted to pro bono help hostage aid with a certain project, and we chose to work with them on Austin's campaign. This media company has large reach in the MENA area. So the approach was that we would actually target the public, the common people like me and you, specifically the Syrians. We wanted to know if they've seen anything, if they've heard anything. We wanted, first of all, to raise awareness to Austin's case, because a lot of the Syrians had never heard of Austin before, and we wanted them to hear of his case. And then we wanted to gather information about Austin from the public, from the common people. Some could have been ex-prisoners, others could have been ex-guards guarding the prison. So we wanted to ask them if they know anything, to come forward and talk to us and to the family, not as the government, but as friends of Austin and family of Austin. So regarding the structure of the campaign, we decided to use a mix of mediums. So we used the traditional media, digital media, and direct contact through messages. The first phase was based on raising awareness to Austin Tice's case, and the second phase, which we are currently in, is using the motherly connection, so based on Deborah approaching the people or the public. Regarding the communication channels, as in the communication channels that they would be using, those people would be using to contact us, we created a tip submission form where there is a paragraph about Austin and his story, and then you can fill out the form with your name, your email, your WhatsApp information, any information that you want to give, and you fill it out, or through an email address that we created, friendsofaustintice.com, or through a WhatsApp number dedicated for this purpose, or a Telegram number, because Telegram is used a lot in Syria. So we started with social media. We used social media to raise awareness to the story of Austin, and so there were ads like these to learn more about Austin's story, or in the second phase to, as Deborah, to help her find her son Austin. And these were put on social media. There were also online digital ads, just like this one, where news websites or many websites online, especially in Syria and in Lebanon, when you access them, you would find the ads that you can click on. And on the radio, there were more than 13 radio stations where there's an audio that talks about Austin. This is just a translation that's in English somehow.
لو شو ما صار العالم بيضل فيها خير. يا ريت تساعدونا نلاقي رفيقنا الصحفي أوستن تايس اللي كان بسوريا. صار له 12 سنة بعيد عنا وما عم نعرف أخباره. الله يطيب بخاطركم، إذا بتعرفوا شي طمنونا وطمنوا بال أهله. تواصلوا معنا على friendsofaustintice@gmail.com أو على التليجرام 0961 37 33 933.
I do want to mention that the dialect is Syrian dialect, so the audio was created in both Lebanese and in Syrian dialect, so no matter who hears it will understand it. Regarding TV, this video was created specifically to be put on the TV, and it was broadcasted and is still being broadcasted by the #1 TV station in Lebanon, LBCI, which actually broadcasts it every hour, and it's from like a translated message from Deborah to the people asking about Austin, and we will hear that.
رسالة مترجمة من أمه لأوستن تايس. وجع الأم مش مثل غيره. الله يحمي ولاد الكل بهالأيام الصعبة. بليز ساعدوني، لأنه ابني الكبير أوستن تايس صار له 12 سنة بسوريا، وكل يوم بيقطع بدونه بحسه كأنه دهر. الأم أكتر حدا رح يفهم وجعي. بضحي بحياتي كلها لأرجع أسمع صوته، بس أنا مش رح استسلم، ومتأكدة إنه اللحظة اللي رح أرجع شوفه فيها قربت، وأمل كبير بوقفتكن حدي. إذا بتعرفوا حيالله شي بليز تواصلوا معنا على friendsofaustentice@gmail.com أو عبر الواتساب على الرقم 961 3733 933.
And this video is still being played in Lebanon. And this TV has very wide reach to Syrians too who watch it. Regarding the messages, so during the second phase, which we have started, we have begun disseminating direct messages to mobile phones. And we expect to reach around 37.5 million numbers. And those would be in Lebanon, in Syria, and in Iraq. And we have already sent to over 1 million people, so more than 1 million SMSs have already been sent with a burst frequency of over 176,000 messages per week. So, and these are short messages, as you can see, which ask about Austin, and if you've seen him, to let us know about him and with the info on how to reach us. So as you can see, the numbers have been really impressive. So regarding reach, it's more than 12 million impression or reach, and the clicks on the links are more than 1 million clicks, and that's just in less than 4 months. So starting from mid-August until like just a month ago. And these are the charts. So we started in August, this campaign, and these were done until October. So you can see how the numbers are rising for the video views and the clicks on the videos that have to do with Austin. Now, regarding these messages that we've been sending out, we've received hundreds of responses, and through email, on WhatsApp, calls, and through the form. Now, some people contact us asking who Austin is. They want answers, and others ask how they can help us to find Austin, while others have information that they want to give us, and we call them and talk to them to see the information that they have. And so there are different categories of the people that send to us, but we have made it a point to reply to every person who sends us a message, to reply to him and engage and see what they have to offer us. So I just wanted to add that this, so the team from our side, it is of course hostage aid, but also with the help of Bill, Deborah, and Jacob Tice, who are all on the team that gets everything ready together and gives it to the media company who does implements our ideas. I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol. And the president of Hostage Aid Worldwide, sitting right there next to Carol, is Nazir Zaka, and he is he's an incredible person, and he also he took the bunk of Jason Rezaian after Jason came home from prison in Tehran. Nazar was in prison in Iran for 4 years, and we're happy he's with us. And I just will say about that campaign. So that is not a government thing, and it's got actual penetration in the country where Austin's being held, and in the region where much of the media comes into that country. Whole points Carol made, but it's just exactly what should, what looking backwards is what you should be doing. But our government, 12 years, has never done anything like that. So thank you for stepping up and for all your great work. We've heard from a lot of people, but I think we do need to hear from Austin's dad, Mark Tice, about his impressions of the day. And then we're going to take some questions from you all, and Emily will run the questions. Mark?
Thank you, Bill, and thank you all for being here. I'd like to build a little bit on some of what Bill has said and what the kids have said. And actually, yesterday we started our meetings with a meeting at the State Department. Today we were at the White House meeting with the NSA. And the State Department meeting went very much like the NSA meeting. There were complaints and finger pointing about who is preventing things from happening, and who's responsible for doing what. That was at the State Department. The NSA said we're trying everything we can think of. Well, we have seen what real commitment looks like, and we've seen it in Russia, and we've seen it in China, we've seen it in Venezuela, we see it in Gaza, and we've yet to see it for Austin Tice. One of the things that Jake Sullivan said was that we've tried everything. Well, I have to take exception to that. They may have thought of a lot of things, but very little has actually been done. And, one of the, I think it was Jacob that, where are you, Jake?
Over here. Okay.
Jacob said, well, maybe they could let one of us sit in on all their meetings because we have some ideas of what they could do. Ideas maybe not as innovative and effective as what Carol and Nazar have done, but ideas nonetheless that we think the United States government could do. And, a lot of what we heard today especially had to do with the turmoil happening right now in Syria. But their statements have been the same for 12 years. There wasn't a, there was a war going on, but it wasn't the same as what we're seeing right now. And nonetheless, our government couldn't think of anything to do for years and years and years. So, we'd like to encourage President Biden and encourage his team to follow through on what President Biden asked them to do when we met with him on May 2nd, 2023 now, or 2022, when he told them to talk to the Syrians, find out what they want, and do something about it. Is that close?
Get a meeting.
Get a meeting. Get a meeting. So, we're still hoping that in these last couple of months that the Biden administration will actually pursue those instructions vigorously. We think this is a time of opportunity, actually, and there's no time like now to start doing the right thing. So that's kind of what I have to say, Bill.
Terrific.
All right.
Just going to amend one thing. So Washington, the alphabet soup is really strong here. Says NSC. We met with, I think one in there you said NSA, but.
Well, we met with the NSA
We met with the NSA.
of the NSC. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jake
Yeah.
Sullivan,
Just got a
A,
couple. Just
and
got
the
a
people
couple of
that work
questions
for him
about
are
what
the C.
who we were trying to direct, and that's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got
A
it.
is an individual, and C is a group of people. So,
Emily,
Right.
you want to do questions?
Sure.
Thanks.
Good, Dad.
Did you want to do questions?
Hmm?
Did you want to?
no, he's running away.
That was
I'm probably not
Getting
going to be
Emma.
the one who's answering any of these questions, but certainly we have enough experts who are in the room and who know what's going on. Do you need me to actually be by the mic at the moment, though? They do. Okay, great. Sorry, I forgot there's like the TV thing. Yes, so anyhow, thank you guys again for coming. I know we've got a number of questions in the room. Elizabeth, do you want to give us a start?
Sure, thanks. Elizabeth Hagedorn from Alma One, we know that from John Bolton's memoir that President Trump was interested in speaking directly with Assad. He dispatched 2 of his officials to Damascus during his term. Have you had a chance to engage with the incoming Trump team? Also, would you describe the mood now as cautiously optimistic now that the regime is under pressure in Syria, and that may open up new points of leverage? And then also, I just wanted to clarify, Bill, something you said. My understanding was otherwise, but was there proof of life offered in the 2020 meeting? And if so, can you elaborate on what form that took?
Thanks, Elizabeth. Deborah, Mark, do either of you guys want to talk about any communications with the incoming administration? And if you want to, I think we need to come to the mics. Okay. It's all yours.
So when Donald Trump was president, he had an obsession with Austin, an obsession with getting Austin home. And Mike Pompeo and John Bolton did all they could to keep that from happening. And so when Donald Trump was elected, that was the first thing on my mind, was to remind him of how much he loved Austin and how much he wanted home. And they have been talking about Austin since he was elected. It's already on his mind. He is already ready to go get him home. So, whatever kinds of feelings you may have, this mama has a really good feeling for someone that's going to take care of her child. I would take that from anyone.
Elizabeth, what was your second question? Just the mood right now, given the events happening in Syria, would you say you're cautiously optimistic, hopeful that the developments could spell good news?
When I think about war, I never have a happy moment. I don't really understand what's happening in Syria. I'm upset by the fact that terrorists are tearing up Aleppo, killing people in Aleppo. I don't understand that. I don't understand why our government isn't running in saying we are not going to allow a terrorist entity to take over Syria, because why would that be great in the Middle East? What's going on in Aleppo is very different from what's going on in Damascus. I don't really understand because it's changing minute by minute. There are people that are feeling like it's possible this could be Austin's release. I certainly pray that that's it. And I think that what's happening in Damascus is not as brutal as what's happening in Aleppo. And so there's just so much going on, I can hardly keep it in my mind. And the person that was doing the OFAC work is a very close friend of mine, and he's having brain surgery today, so my emotions are all over the page. But above all, we have a huge hole in our family, and we never miss him less. We miss him all the time when we have a big family dinner, when it's somebody's birthday, all the time. And this hole is painful. Even when we're doing wonderful, happy things, there's still the hole. The hole is there. And that's what we're looking for.
Thank you, Deborah. Bill, did you want to address the proof of life a little more?
Sure. So at the September 2020 meeting in Damascus between Roger Carstens and Kash Patel and officials from Syria, the Syrian delegation said that it would be possible to offer proof of life if certain conditions would be met. The United States discussed what kinds of conditions those could be and then went away. And then there were inquiries from the Syrian side. Hey, are you going to act on what you said? No, well, we offered something by telling you what our idea was. I don't know if any of you play cards, but this is not even a bluff. You know, this is a nothing. You would never be allowed to play again in most casinos if this was your approach to life. So no, there was no proof of life on the table, but a proof of life was discussed if certain conditions were met. We dropped the ball on that. First of all, we tried to be way too cute. And then when that didn't work, we didn't follow up. And then we didn't make good on the transition to the next administration for them to pick it up. And even though we kept the same person as the SPIHA in government, it didn't go to the top of his to-do list when he started with the Biden administration. It was a colossal error.
Hi,
Not getting off this stage?
Hi, Eric Tucker with the Associated Press. Deborah, it's great to see you again. I wanted to ask you a question about the thing that you mentioned at the outset. Can you, maybe someone else can jump in.
Yeah, go ahead. Ask the question.
Please hold.
So Deborah mentioned that there is significant information, a significant source pointing in the direction of Austin being alive. Can you elaborate on who, what that is, and what that information specifically says?
Yeah. At this moment,
could you step to the mic?
oh, sorry. At this moment, we're not able to make that public. We hope to, and we're working towards that end. So, you know, from our perspective, the sooner the better. We have fielded a lot of false, you know, propositions and statements about knowledge and seeing us and being able to contact Austin, none of which proved fruitful. This is very different. It's very different. And like I say, we are confident in that this information is fresh. It indicates as late as earlier this year that Austin is alive and being cared for. And we do hope to make as much of this public as we can, and we're working towards that.
To be clear, we're not able to make it public.
Right.
Because the government.
We're not able to make it public.
Right, right. But that's something that we're working
Free
on.
speech is not free.
We could
Yeah.
use,
You have to
we
get
could use your
permission.
help, all of your help, in getting the government to release this information.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you, Bill. Yeah. I think you.
Oh, Joseph Martin with Dallas Morning News. Can you say anything more about why you find this credible? I mean, I understand you can't get into specifics, but who has vetted it or just anything else about why it's credible?
There's hardly a government entity that has not verified it.
I'm so sorry, Deborah. Do you mind stepping to the mic?
Yeah.
So everyone on
Sorry.
the live stream can hear you as well?
Sorry. Yeah.
Come on.
No, you're good. You're good.
The reason we know this is absolutely credible is because almost every entity in the United States government regarding security has verified it. They will not let it become public. We don't understand why. Of course, we have lots of conspiracy theories. Remember when you asked me that question? So why can't we share this incredible information about our son?
Well, beyond that, why wasn't it shared with us?
Yes. So.
I would just make the point, it's a few people here. Behind each one of you is a news organization with many people. That they found this out. You're asking us why, how do we know this? I'm asking you, go find it out. You all have bigger organizations, much more sophistication than we do. Come on. Press the government. Do not take what they're saying at face value. They are lying to you.
Yes.
Willie Lowery with the National. The timing of this meeting, was this called before the rebels started taking
Oh.
Yes.
Yes, July 21st, is that right? When our first request went out?
How long have we been planning this meeting?
Oh, yes, July 21st is when we started planning this meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know, I think Naomi was on, but I think Naomi said your question was, how did you seize the moment? I guess, do you see this as an opportunity, as a, you know, time where the government, the U.S. government can leverage what is happening for citizens relief?
That is what we're hearing, you know, from I feel like friends, right? From people who are actively helping us get Austin released instead of, as was kind of mentioned before, maybe preventing Austin's release, is that in chaos there is opportunity. And we understand that now there is quite a bit of chaos. And so can we be innovative and use this as an opportunity?
Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, Maya Rodriguez with Scripps News. I'm curious if you can tell me a little bit about the condition that Austin Tice is being held in. Is he in a prison? Is he in somebody's home? What kind of a facility is he in? You say he's being cared for. It's sort of a softer way of putting it.
Well, we want to be very careful about what we share. He is being cared for, and he is well. So we do know that. And, you know, location is something that's very fungible. And so that to me is never an important piece of information. And the thing about where is, right? Well, does anybody in here have a dog? Does anybody? Okay, you have a dog?
Where is your dog?
Can you tell me where your dog is?
With accuracy.
Exactly. Where is your dog right now? Yes, but on your bed, on your sofa, in front of his favorite window. Where
part of
is
the
your
yard?
dog?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this thing is so fungible that I just don't think that question is really relative, because Austin is not going to have a kinetic extraction. That is not available to him. He is going to be released through diplomacy. Words, not bombs. Words, not guns. That's how Austin's going to come home, and that is why it is so hard. Words are not as much fun as guns.
All of you. Just to be
Can we
precise.
just get your name and news organization?
Michael Lohner with McClatchy.
Thank you.
To be precise, are you saying that this source came to you with information, that information you brought to the government, they verified that this source is legitimate?
No, we haven't said that.
Okay, so can you walk us through the sequence of events a little more specific?
I think that would start getting a little too close.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know that the government has verified this information?
Yes, we do know that. We do know that. Yes.
Hi, Saban Kim, Global Stratview. So just to clarify, you haven't gotten a set commitment by the Biden administration that they will do something solid that looks visible on the table until the transition happens on the 20th of January, right? You haven't gotten any commitment from the administration itself.
No, we haven't. And, you know, up until this point, where I want to separate Syria pre these latest activities and actions in Syria now, but up until this point, what we've had is thinking about and saying we're thinking about doing these things, and then expecting that that will break loose something having to do with Austin. And it doesn't work that way, right? And we continue to do that thing. Now, everybody knows, was it Einstein's definition of insanity? Anyway, and you know what we focused on in the meetings we've had yesterday and today was maybe you need to do something different. And especially now with this opportunity, surely something different is called for. And like I said, we've got ideas. We'd love to share them. And we did share some. But yeah, that's as close to a commitment of actual action we've received.
And I'd like for you to think about some of the hostage stories that you've been printing and you've been hearing. And I'm going to tell you that in 12 years and 4 months, there have been fewer than 5 meetings for Austin Tice, spotted over that. Never anyone staying overnight in order to continue the discussion. Pop in, pop out, c'est la vie. Just let that soak into you for a minute. That doesn't look like determination and commitment.
Elizabeth, I just one more. Yes. The Omanis have been known to relay messages on Austin between Damascus and Washington and have been a venue for talks in the past. Are they playing a role currently, or are there any other regional mediators you can speak of?
Yeah, probably better for us not to speak to that. That's a little bit outside of our scope of expertise, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Excuse me, we had the opportunity with Honorable Agency, Turkish News Agency, we had an opportunity to interview with you back in Texas about Austin. I missed the beginning of the event earlier, and you had his Hawaii, you had the good news from the Syria process, right? Can I get a quick wrap-up, recap about this information? I'm so sorry to be late for the event.
I think you have to do it off mic because a lot of people have already had that. We'll talk to you, but let's let them ask any questions that they have to finish up. We did promise that we'd have Nizar available to talk about the situation in Syria.
Yes.
I don't know if that's of interest to the room, but it is. Okay, Nizar, do you want to take a couple minutes and just tell them what you're seeing and take any questions and identify yourself and why I'm giving you this opportunity?
Hello, I am Nizar Zaka. I'm the president of Hostage Aid, and I am originally from Lebanon, and I am involved a lot with hostages. And just want to tell you, like only yesterday, we had 30 foreigners that were released from a prison in Hama, in Syria, and they are foreigners, and one of them has been a prisoner for 35 years. And everybody thought that he doesn't exist. His family contacted me a couple of years ago asking me about Ali Hussein Ali. He's from north of Lebanon. And then they never heard anything about him for 35 years. Only yesterday, he was released from a prison in Hama. So we need to work all together to make sure that Austin is coming safe and he's going to be reunited with his family soon. And we hope that everybody will take care. Whatever happened in Syria in the next few days, few weeks, we make sure that the prisoners are safe and well taken care of. And our government is making sure that they are released in proper way and taking good care of them. This is what I have to say.
Deborah Tice, I approve this message.
Does anyone have a specific question for Nizar?
Do we just go back to what I'm not going to ask you to reveal more about the source, but is Austin being held by the government of Syria? Do we know that?
We've always known that.
It's believed, yeah.
You cover the region, right? Yeah. So there are a lot of people of influence in Syria. So it's possible someone, in addition to the government, has a vote.
Who's somebody has leverage over someone who is holding. Yeah. So this is how it works in this part. Yes.
So again, Kim, Global Strat View. So recently, we've seen hostages, former hostages like Evan Gershkovich, also Kurmasheva being released, and we also have, and it's from Russia, and in China, we also have seen some family members of the Uyghurs being released as well, along this hostage diplomacy that we're seeing in Syria today. And one might wonder, okay, well, if the U.S. government, the current administration can make that happen with these two gigantic governments that are way more powerful than the Syrian government, one might wonder why can't they do the same with the Syrian government? So for those who are wondering and having that question in their minds, what would your response be for that?
It's an opinion that I will be providing. It's different. It's in Russia and in China. It's clear there is the government admit that they have a person unlawfully detained and they want to do a swap. Well, in Syria, I believe after what I believe that Austin might be a security for some people, that they want to make sure that they are secure and nothing will happen to them. And this is an analysis. It's not information.
If I can step in on that as well. That's a great question, and it's pretty close to the second question that I asked in the meeting that we had today. Because it was something that they pointed out, was that the Biden administration has worked with very difficult regimes in very difficult circumstances and made difficult choices in order to secure the release of hostages, and that that approach that they've taken in those circumstances has not worked in Austin's case, which to us begs the obvious question, why do we not try a different approach? Why are we using this same paradigm that worked in these other places and has failed in this instance? Why do we continue to rely on it? Whether that be shifting from third party to third party, looking for someone to speak to, if that continues to fail, what other options are on the table? What opportunities for innovation exist where a different approach, a different paradigm, a different framing, and a different set of actions might be effective?
Following question is that, in that case, do you think political interests are trumping over our moral duty as a country to rescue our own citizen, wherever they may be? So do you think that is the case, that has been the case?
I am not a political expert. I'm not a strategist. I would encourage that question to go to the White House press briefing room. I would encourage any and all of you to ask that question of the White House press corps. I would be deeply, deeply grateful if you were to seek an answer there.
Thank you all so much. Thank you to everyone who came here today. I know a lot of really good questions. As a journalist, I can see kind of the push and pull. We all want to have that sure-footed sourcing and knowledge and detail, and yet it seems that though Deborah and the entire Tice family, they have done everything to play by the rules. They have done everything the government has asked. They have done everything that is needed to bring their son, their brother, their uncle, their brother-in-law home, and yet they are still being given I'm trying to think of a more politically correct word than half-assed. No, let's just go with it. It's Friday. Half-assed answers. They're not giving straightforward. There are inconsistencies in what they are being told and what they are learning from other credible sources. And at this point, I think that in and of itself is news. That in and of itself is worth reporting. And just the fact that, yes, we have an American, a Marine, a veteran, and a journalist who is, again, being wrongfully detained, wrongfully held in Syria. And I think as Mark very eloquently pointed out, more can be done. The idea that everything that is being done is inaccurate. And here at the Press Club, we will continue to fight every step of the way at the Press Club and the Press Freedom Center. And we thank all of you for taking time out of your day, for covering this important issue, for asking the questions, and for being here in the room. I will steal the Washington Post, "Democracy Dies in Darkness," and the fact that all of you are here today, I think is a huge sign that the fight for Austin very much continues, and that we are not going to be giving up until he comes home. Thank you all again for coming today.